Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. A 3-month baby was reunited with his mom after being kidnapped on Tuesday morning. We have the story of how he got back home. Officers made a major fentanyl bust in the Bay Area's Alameda County. The street value was worth millions, but the volume of drugs could kill millions more. And we'll look at two aspects of living in Los Angeles: quality of life and homelessness. One recent study said deaths of LA homeless population rose during pandemic lockdowns, but not because of a virus. Police have found a 3-month-old boy who was kidnapped from his San Jose home on Monday. On Tuesday morning, police say they have 3 suspects in custody. NTD Cynthia Kai reports.
Within 20 hours of a kidnapping, law enforcement safely located 3-month-old baby Brandon Cuellar on Tuesday morning. Police said he has been taken to a local hospital as a precaution, but is unharmed and in good condition. Brandon will be returned to his family after a checkup. Officers arrested 3 suspects, but are not releasing names at this time.
We know that there's some connection to the family, but we don't know exactly what that connection is, and that's something that will be determined during the course of the investigation.
Police believe one of the people in custody is the man caught on video taking baby Brandon. 3-month-old Brandon was kidnapped early Monday afternoon. Police told reporters on Monday that a man entered a San Jose apartment at about 1 p.m. and walked away with the infant in a baby carrier.
We were alerted to this kidnapping incident by the baby's grandmother. Mom was at work when this happened. According to grandmother, she came home to this apartment located in the 1000 block of Elm Street. She took the baby in the apartment, went downstairs to unload some groceries. In that short amount of time, someone entered the apartment and left with the baby.
Police released a video showing the man walking down the sidewalk, holding the baby carrier covered by a white blanket.
Dad right now is out of the picture. He is incarcerated. I don't know, whether or not that is going to play into this, but obviously we're going to talk to him soon.
The FBI dispatched its child abduction response team to help San Jose police.
On a positive note, a stranger child abduction is extraordinarily a rare occurrence in this country. I think that's something we should all hopefully take comfort in. When it does happen, it's obviously a very high impact threat. Low probability, but high impact.
Our detectives are continuing to work on this case. We will have more information as this case unfolds. But once again, I'd like to thank everyone involved from the start of the call till now. And this is where the hard work also begins, also putting this case together, working with our district attorney and others.
Police say the investigation is still ongoing and will provide more information when available. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
San Jose police confirm around 3 p.m. that baby Brandon has been reunited with mom. SJPD said that we can relay her gratitude and thank yous to all who assisted. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office in California seized more than 92 pounds of illegal fentanyl over the weekend. The office says the amount is enough to kill about 20 million people. At a street value of $100 per gram, the total value of the seized fentanyl exceeds $4 million. Authorities say they recovered the drugs from a number of locations in Oakland and Hayward. Earlier this month, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration warned of a spike in mass overdose incidents involving fentanyl. A mass incident is defined as 3 or more such cases in a short period of time in the same location. DEA Administrator Ann Milgram said that there have been 7 such mass overdose incidents in the U.S. since January. Los Angeles homeless population suffered from a higher number of deaths during the pandemic, but COVID wasn't the main cause. The main killer was illicit drugs. NTD's Daniel Hall has a look at what drugs were doing the most damage.
Homeless deaths in Los Angeles County increased by 56% over the first 12 months of the COVID-19 pandemic compared to the previous 12 months. The spike was partially due to the virus, but drug overdoses are the main cause. According to a County Department of Public Health report, from April 2020 to 2021, homeless deaths increased from nearly 13,000 to just under 2,000. Fatalities from drug overdoses increased by 78% for that time period. 179 homeless people died from the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19. When excluding COVID fatalities, the county's homeless deaths still rose by 43%. County Supervisor Hilda Solis told the Epoch Times that the findings in the report reflect a true state of emergency on the streets across our county. Overdose deaths among homeless people under age 50 doubled in the first year of the pandemic. When divided by race, overdose deaths among homeless Latinos jumped by 84%, 74% for blacks, and 67% among whites. Methamphetamine was involved in 75% of deaths, roughly the same as the previous year. The involvement of fentanyl in overdose deaths rose from 27% to 45%. County officials said they have steps planned to address homeless deaths. These include an expansion of field-based substance abuse treatment services, increased distribution of naloxone, and more infectious disease protocols in shelters and encampments.
Living in the city of angels is not what it used to be, according to a recent poll. Over 1,000 residents were asked about quality of life in the city. The numbers are in, but things are not looking good.
A UCLA survey revealed the lowest level of Angelenos' overall satisfaction with the county in the study's 7-year history. The quality of life index for the county dropped to 53. That's the first time below the median value of 55 on a scale from 1 to 100. The new score is down from the previous year's value of 58. The survey of 1,400 county residents, published on April 22nd, covers 9 categories. The transportation and traffic category, along with the jobs and economy category, also declined. As for elected officials, resident satisfaction with Mayor Eric Garcetti dropped from 62% to 45%. County Sheriff Alex Villanueva received both very or somewhat favorable ratings from 37% of respondents. District Attorney George Gascon's support dropped from 31% to 23%. 69% of respondents said they believe life has been fundamentally changed by COVID-19. Only 28% expressed confidence that life will eventually return to the way it was. Zev Yaroslavsky, director of the Los Angeles Initiative, said, "What the pandemic couldn't do over the last 2 years, inflation and increase in violent and property crime succeeded in doing." The report's authors noted that the quality of life rating has been stable even during the pandemic and only recently has significantly dropped.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Anaheim City Council is scheduled to vote on a lawsuit about Angels' previous stadium. The case revolved around affordable housing. Speaking of affordable housing, college students are struggling to find a place to live while attending certain schools. Rent is expensive and fewer units are available. We'll hear from several students on how they're dealing with it. And in San Francisco, one family has run a business for 60 years on telling people's fortunes. Kind of. We'll take a look at an iconic California fortune cookie shop and see how their business is coming back to life after lockdowns. That and more on California Today. Anaheim City Council is scheduled to vote on a lawsuit about Angels' previous stadium. The case revolved around affordable housing.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta on April 25th urged the Anaheim Council to accept the settlement agreement. In total, the settlement would result in 1,000 new affordable homes, Bonta's office said. The funds would come from the sale of the 150-acre Angel Stadium. The Department of Housing and Community Development alleges that the city violated the Surplus Land Act by not making certain offers on the sale first. The act requires sellers first offer to sell land to developers and set aside at least 80% for housing, with 40% for affordable housing units, among other zoning and public notification requirements. The sale was first approved in 2019. According to Bonta's office, the settlement is part of a wider state effort to address California's housing crisis.
Many college students across the nation were denied on-campus housing last fall and found themselves living in motel rooms or vehicles. Surging rents and decades of failing to build sufficient student housing is a growing struggle, especially in California.
California prides itself on its robust higher education system, but has struggled with housing at its four-year colleges. Berkeley is notoriously difficult, with cutthroat competition for the few affordable apartments within walking distance to campus.
I feel like most students go into this process blind and not knowing how bad and how difficult it is to find a roof over your head in Berkeley.
The University of California, Berkeley has limited dorms, and competition is fierce for nearby off-campus units, which can start at $1,600 for a 300-square-foot studio.
I think a lot of landlords and companies looking to give students housing and apartments, they know that we are all in desperate need of housing, so they know that whatever price they charge, we'll inevitably have to pay it because we don't really have a choice except, maybe to live out of our cars.
Sodi, a political science major, is excited to move out of the dorms and into a 2-bedroom apartment where she and 3 friends are taking over the lease. The unit is older, but a bargain at $3,000 a month, she said. The housemates were prepared to pay up to $5,000 for a safe place close to campus.
I don't know, I definitely was not prepared to be this stressed about housing every year and about rent.
Lopez imagined she would spend all 4 years on campus in dorms, but found herself in a scramble for a safe, affordable place to sleep. The urban studies major currently splits an attic space in what is technically a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 undergraduates, one of whom sleeps in the dining room.
I think it's definitely a big worry. I think most students don't really understand the housing situation that they're signing up for when they get here, especially after the first year.
Yeah, so college students are uniquely impacted by really a nationwide shortage of housing because in many of these college towns, the universities or the market where these universities are haven't created enough housing to really support a growing student body.
The school has been fighting homeowners and communities who oppose campus expansion plans, even as the school accepts more students. One group sued UC Berkeley for increasing student enrollment without addressing the impacts. California Supreme Court ordered the university to freeze its enrollment for the upcoming academic year, but the governor signed a bill to lift the enrollment cap.
Permanent daylight saving time in California is moving one step closer to reality. Here's what changes are being made so far.
A bill that would make daylight saving time permanent in California recently passed its first hurdle. Numerous bills in the past attempted the same thing. This time, Assembly Bill 2868, titled Year-Round Daylight Saving Time, passed its first committee on April 20th. The bill passed the Assembly Committee on Governmental Organization this month in a 19-0 vote, with 3 votes not received. AB 2868, introduced by Republican Assemblymember Stephen Choi of Orange County, would take effect immediately after federal approval. In 2018, California voters passed Proposition 7. It allows state lawmakers to change the dates and times of daylight saving time. Supporters of the bill say that it would benefit local business owners across California and reduce energy consumption by allowing more hours of daylight in the evening. Studies also show the adverse effects of biannual time changes on human health and safety. Research suggests switching between standard and daylight time can lead to increases in heart attacks, strokes, traffic accidents, and workplace injuries. Those against the bill argue that permanent daylight saving time would result in darker mornings during winter, which could lead to more energy use in the morning, as well as increased risks for children heading to school in the dark. The California bill is being referred to the Committee on Utilities and Energy for consideration. On March 15th, the Senate passed the Sunshine Protection Act, which would make daylight saving time permanent nationwide if it's fully approved. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
The Supreme Court on Thursday kept alive a California man's hope of reclaiming a valuable Impressionist masterpiece taken from his family in the 1920s. The legal battle has lasted nearly 2 decades.
The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of a Jewish family trying to retrieve a painting by French Impressionist Camille Pissarro.
The family believe that this is a success, and they are hopeful that justice will be served.
The Casseret family, now living in California, has been trying to reclaim ownership of the painting. Lily Cassier inherited Rue Saint-Honoré Après-Midi Effet de Pluie from her family in 1926. But in 1939, she was forced to surrender the Impressionist painting to the Nazis in order to obtain exit visas from Germany. In 1951, the artwork resurfaced in the United States, where it remained until Baron Hans Heinrich Thyssen-Bornemisza purchased it for $300,000 in 1976. His collection gave rise to the Museo Thyssen-Bornemisza, a museum in Madrid, Spain. The current-day heirs of Lily Cassier have been locked in a legal battle spanning almost 2 decades with Madrid's Thyssen-Bornemisza Collection Foundation over the Paris street scene. In 2018, a California court ruled that under federal law, the Madrid Museum was the rightful owner. Earlier this year, the U.S. Supreme Court had been asked to decide which jurisdiction's laws cover the dispute. On April 21st, the court unanimously said it should be the state of California's law rather than federal law and returned the case to lower courts.
We cannot anticipate what the courts will say. We believe that with the law at hand, California substantive law should apply, and therefore the painting be returned to the family. However, that is something that the courts are yet to decide, and we will see what the outcome will be.
Cremades said under California's law, a person cannot consolidate the property of any asset that's been stolen. The Thyssen Museum said in a statement it was confident that the appeals court in California would rule in its favor.
When you have questions about the future, what better way to get a hint about it than through a cookie? While fortune cookies are usually for a bite of positivity, one man and his family has made a business out of producing handmade cookies at his San Francisco shop. NTD's David Lam shares the good fortune.
As businesses return from the pandemic and thrive again, so does the level of tourism. Now in this Chinatown alley in San Francisco, one local tourist spot is getting crowded again. For most Americans, Chinese food is synonymous with fortune cookies, and people are grabbing a bite at this specialist shop, the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory.
This is a tourist attractions. I want to serve every customer walk in, no matter it's 1, 10, or hundreds. I still serve. So it's my goal, my attitude to serve the people.
The owner, Kevin Chan, said he left his doors open during the pandemic, despite getting no customers.
We actually are recovering from now, and people are slowly beginning to come to San Francisco Chinatown, which is great.
This past weekend, locals and tourists alike came in for some cookies. Some young cookie aficionados shared their surprise at Chan's workload.
It tastes really good. It tastes better than the ones that I've had in different stores.
Yeah, it tastes really good. It's really good.
It's crazy how they made them though. How they make them all by hand and just by they get the patty and they just instantly form it with their hands.
They just fold it.
Originally, I thought that the fortune cookies were made in Japan or something.
Yeah, I thought they were.
This year marks the diamond anniversary for the bakery. They say they make up to 10,000 cookies a day, depending on the season. Chan says the sweet aroma comes from the baking process, taking about 4.5 minutes rotating. Then they have 4 seconds to fold the cookie before it hardens.
What does a fortune cookie mean to you? What does it symbolize?
A fortune cookie is meditation message. The message will meditate people and bring people hope, laugh, and love.
Sometimes they can come true for me. I notice that sometimes they are real and that they will they'll be like, you will lose your pants, and the next day I can't find my pants. Mine is that I will never see the color purple again in my life.
Always be positive. Things will be over and good. Always be positive in many ways.
As for Chan's fortune, there's sure to be many more cookies in his future. David Lam, NTD News, California.
Now let's check in with NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
Although Sean Bieber attended countless games of the Big A growing up, he's been too busy to get back home in the summer recently. Cleveland's ace didn't realize his boyhood stadium had changed its ground rules a few years ago to effectively lower the right field fence. About 90 minutes later, Taylor Ward took Bieber right over that unfamiliar yellow line on the fence for the first of his 2 homers in another win for the surging Los Angeles Angels. Ward drove in all 3 runs off Bieber, and Michael Lorenzen pitched 6 innings of 3-hit ball in the Angels' 3-0 victory over the Guardians on Monday night. Ward delivered a solo homer in the 5th and a 2-run shot in the 7th in his first game of the season, replacing Shohei Ohtani as the Halos' leadoff hitter. Ward delivered the first multi-homer game of his career and became only the 3rd player to hit multiple homers in a game off Bieber, the 2020 AL Cy Young Award winner. Lorenzen won the pitching matchup between 2 Orange County natives, combining with 3 relievers on a 3-hit shutout, the 3rd shutout already this season by the perpetually pitching poor Angels. Raisel Iglesias worked the 9th for his 3rd save, completing 3 perfect innings by LA's bullpen. Mike Trout led off the 6th with a check swing chopper that bounded perfectly down the right field for his 50th career triple. The 3-time AL MVP is 3rd in franchise history in triples, trailing only Jem Grossi and Chone Figgins. The next 4 Angels failed to drive Trout home, however. Patrick Sandoval has thrown 8 innings over his first 2 starts without allowing an earned run for the Angels. He faces Tristan McKenzie, who pitched 7 impressive innings of 2-hit ball last season in his only previous matchup with the Halos. Angels 3, Guardians 0. Phil Mickelson has asked the PGA Tour for a release that would allow him to play the first LIV Golf Invitational Series event near London in June. And he has also registered to play in the PGA Championship and US Open, his agent said. Players had only until Monday to submit a request to the PGA Tour to compete at a conflicting tour event. The first LIV Golf Invitational will be held from June 9 to 11 at the Centurion Golf Club outside of London. The 6-time major champion also submitted his application for next month's PGA Championship, where he is the defending champion, and June's US Open. Mickelson announced in February that he was taking a break from the sport after critical comments he made in an interview about the PGA Tour and the Saudi-backed LIV Golf League surfaced. The 51-year-old did not compete at this year's Masters. 15-time major champion Tiger Woods also appeared on the preliminary field list for the PGA Championship, which will be held at Southern Hills. Woods was in a car crash in February 2021 that nearly resulted in doctors amputating his right leg, but he managed to compete at the Masters, where he made the cut but finished in 47th.
As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. We'll see you next time.